Thing to the ether. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. Sunday night hangout. I just came from Piro's room. Nothing happened. Wasn't exciting. Nothing happened. Andrew, what's going on? You join us live. Did you hear the State of Mind show today? Oh, perhaps there's a... If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
It looked like a full house in there.
Oh, in Piro's room? Yeah, it was really full. And I was there, I got there about 45 minutes after it started or something. It was really full the whole night, except a few times it was down at 6 or 7. But very tedious, I'm afraid, this evening. But did you catch the State of Mind show today? The Todd Reinhardt cast?
Well, was it today? Because yesterday you were talking to him for a while, but maybe that wasn't it.
Oh no, that was the pre-show. Yeah. All right. No, I'm just wondering. We had some viewers and some people were commenting in the side. Superfin guy and a couple others. I didn't know if you were there or not, but. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join by clicking in several places. Yeah, I set up a room because there was a storm in the comments, and I thought if those guys want to talk, they can't come into Piro's room and do anything constructive, and that's where I was. So I thought we'll set up a room and see what happens with the objectivists tonight. Those people in Piro's room rip each other apart, and there is no camaraderie, no brotherhood, no... They're a pack of wolves, and once in a while one of the wolves is weak and everybody jumps on them.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what happens, though.
Yeah, it's bad.
There are goons. Piro has goons. Like I've said many times, Piro is a good guy, but some of his goons in there, they like to gang up on people.
Yeah, they do. Oh, Edward, welcome to the jig. I have to give you permissions because those trolls. I've got the troll problem solved because it's solved. So.
But you'll notice though, if you get one of them on their own, they don't act like that. Like that, the guy starts with a V who looks like
the mouse.
Yeah, the mouse guy.
V. Yeah. Excuse me, Edward. Welcome to the jig.
Hello. This is an error loading the app, so I'm not quite sure what that's about.
Looks like everything's okay so far. You're showing up and everything, so.
Oh, good. That's just the main screen that appears to be down. So, what are we discussing today?
We had just got rolling. Hey, I'm sorry about the room that crashed the other night. It turns out after I disappeared from the room, you guys weren't recorded after that.
Oh, so they couldn't see my glorious victory. Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, try to reconstruct those points in future rooms because it was lost to the ether, I'm afraid.
Well, if you're hosting, I don't think you can leave. Otherwise, it'll shut it down.
Well, they did keep talking. Is that right, Edward? After I left.
Oh yes. I mean, we kept on it for hours.
It probably just said off air in the corner of the thing.
Yes, and they started grilling me on the nature of government.
How did that go?
Well, they kept wanting me to say that people in government can have powers and rights that the general citizenry can't. They were really adamant on that point. And they kept saying that, one of them kept repeating over and over again that if a government is able to do something, has the power to do something, can get away with it, then it has a right to do that. For some reason, I'm not quite sure what he was talking about there, but he kept saying over and over again, they have the right to do this, they have a right to do that, they have a right to lie, they have a right to start wars.
Was it a Hobbesian argument from power, might makes right sort of thing?
Well, it might have been on his part.
Right, I mean...
But yeah. They kept sort of resorting to kind of rhetoric, referring to government as our slave masters and things like that. Very sort of emotionalistic, but... No, I just stuck to my guns and explained why it is that you have to have a single state with a monopoly on coercion, for purposes of objective law.
Yeah.
What would you add to that? Because, as I say, my basic argument was you need a single legal system, you need objective law, you need a monopoly on coercion to extract it from society.
Well, what foreign force as well, military.
Yes.
Right.
Well, yeah, but we were largely talking about domestic legal issues.
Okay, so what would be, you're saying, what would be the total encompassment of the aspects of legal law in an objective society? So we'd obviously stop the violation of individual rights directly and through
Yes.
fraud.
Yes.
And then what else, right?
That's pretty much it.
Not too much else.
No. But the point is that he was saying, what if you have different police forces? What if you have different courts? What if you have rival governments? And I kept pointing out, what's the point in a rival governments if you have rival parties? That is the point of that. You have got the rivalry there.
No. I think rival governments and rival parties is like multiplying 2 times 2. You know. It's like asexual reproduction evolved slower than sexual reproduction.
Yeah.
So
but a rival governments, as they were putting it, would basically mean civil war.
In America, we've got 2 parties times 50 states.
Yeah.
So I just want to shout the virtue of that system versus 2 parties in 1 state.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I used the laboratory of democracy argument. So basically pointing out it's okay to have devolved government and sub-governments and things like that, but it all ultimately has to be within a single hierarchy within a nation state. But you also need separate nation states, because this is where it gets complicated, because I'm not for one world government.
Yeah, I know. What do we do with that? What do objectivists do with that? Because would we be against an orderly government that ruled the whole world?
Yes, because you need the laboratories of democracy, and one world government just means putting all your eggs in one basket, and rival states can essentially a national border is like a membrane on a cell or an organism. You basically need that in order to prevent too much spillage, to prevent diffusion, and to prevent chaos.
You think that we're a long ways away from a point where countries are just sort of going to join together because
I don't think we should ever have that, because no matter human nature will always be human nature. No matter how far we go, power and human nature are absolute. Pretty much.
It's happening. Clearly, it's happening. Nations get larger and larger and larger through history. Clearly, that's happening.
Well, it's not. It's the reverse is happening. In Britain, for example, we went through a devolution process where we now have a Welsh Parliament, we now have a Scottish Parliament, we did before, and in case you hadn't heard, my country just gave the final death blow to the EU. So,
yeah,
no,
you gave us Australia, India, South Africa, the United States, and Canada. Those are 5 fucking huge countries.
Yeah, but that's because there was a large amount of space, and we were able to beat out a lot of rivals.
If you want, but you guys fell off at the end, and you left us all these really big, really great, really powerful, orderly democracies.
Yes. Well, the size is kind of irrelevant. Yes. The whole point is that you need separate governments in order to. It's like you need bulkheads on a ship in order to contain any disaster. In the same way, that's why we have California and Texas. California contains the disaster of socialism, and so the people have Texas as the alternative. Texas serves at the same time as the example of what works. That's why you need segmentation. You need fundamentally, economically and politically, to contain disasters.
What's the theoretical upper limit on that? I mean, you say we've got to have segments on the world, on the planet, on the globe. There's got to be more than one. It's 2 or more? 3?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I would say anything between 50 and 1,000, basically.
Slightly rationalistic to just choose a number. I'm sure you realize that.
Oh yes, yes. I pulled that right out of my ass. But But at the same time, whenever I do that kind of thing, I sort of go back and think about it, and I realize, yeah, that actually does kind of make sense. The reason I went for 50 was because of the 50 states of America. It's just an example that works, and I went for 1,000 because that's about as many countries as we have, give or take.
We have like 250, I think. Andrew, chime in if you would.
But why they need to experiment if we apparently already have the correct political setup? What's the point of all the experiments?
Well, firstly, we have to essentially guarantee against our own fallibility. But the other point is we have to convince other people of what the right setup is. And that is a marketplace of ideas argument, and that, again, requires segmentation.
I would also add progress, because if you have any kind of change in society, and let's face it, there will be, then there will be different ways of addressing that, and some of those will be more reasonable than others. And even in a nation of objective law, some people will have a certain direction they go with the law, and other people have a slightly different direction. And some of those will turn out to be more effective than others at protecting rights or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, even if every nation was objectivist, even among objectivists we have disagreements because objectivists aren't perfect. We may have a better philosophy than anybody else, but it's not a perfect philosophy, and we aren't perfect either. So even in the best case scenario, you'd still need multiple states or nations.
In the long term, you'd think, though, in the long term there'd be some convergence, right?
No, because we can't predict. I mean, it's the same thing with monopolies. The left are terrified of monopolies in the private sector, but we know from Austrian economics, we know from free market economics that monopolies get broken down within the market when left to their own devices. Most monopolies are maintained through cronyism, not through legitimate market systems. I mean, look at the beautiful way that Blockbuster Video was eaten alive by Netflix in a matter of 6 months.
When they get too big, they become inefficient, unless there's some new technology that allows them to keep growing.
Well, look at IBM. IBM was called International Business Machines, and it used to be typewriters and calculators and things that in the 1950s and 60s and 40s and 30s. So they actually had to change over and do a paradigm shift, and a lot of those companies that made those other types of things never came over. They never said, let's do microprocessors then. So some
You appear to have gone off, Mr. Cropper.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
No.
I thought it was my internet.
No. I'm going to reset the page just in case.
Yeah, but now you're not going to be able to actually come back in the broadcast now that you've come back in. Well, if we both leave, I think it'll end it. And if Cropper left, then we probably have to restart anyways.